Hi, the Night Confession channel is with you. Welcome. On my channel, I talk about women's stories that my subscribers send me.
Part 1. The Moment of Truth. I had been preparing for this conversation for a long time. Weeks, months. At first, I convinced myself I could hide it. Then that I could erase it from memory, as if it never happened. But every night he lay down next to me and I heard his breathing, felt the warmth of his hand, and it tore me apart. I cheated on him, just once. But that one time poisoned everything. I couldn't look into his eyes, couldn't pretend, and at some point, I decided it's better if he knows the truth. Let him hate me, let him leave, but at least it will be honest. That evening, after our son had gone to bed, I said, "We need to talk." He calmly put his phone down and looked at me. I hesitated, then exhaled. "I cheated on you." Silence. I waited for the blow. Words, shouting, anything. But he just nodded. "I understand," he said quietly. And in that phrase, there was something terrifying, as if he had already decided everything. Part 2. Silence that chokes. I thought that after my confession, everything would change. We'd fight. Maybe he'd pack his things. Maybe I would leave. But nothing changed. The morning began as usual. Coffee, breakfast, small talk about errands. Only his gaze was different. Cold. Too calm. I tried to bring up what had happened, and he cut me off. "Not now." A day passed, then another, then a week. He didn't ask questions, didn't accuse me, didn't yell, but in his silence, I heard more pain than I could bear. It became a cage where I was the prisoner. He lived next to me, but as if behind a wall. We did everything as before. Dinners, shopping, walks with our son. But behind that, as before, there was an abyss. I stopped sleeping. I waited for shouting. I waited for him to say, "Leave." But he didn't. He did worse. He stayed silent. Part 3. Shadows of Control. His silence turned out not to be emptiness, but a weapon. After some time, I noticed changes. He no longer asked where I had been, but I knew. He knew. I came home from work, and he had already gone through my calls and messages. I left my bag and later found it neatly moved. Even a receipt from the store he held in his hands as if it were evidence. I tried to protest. "You don't trust me." He answered calmly, without emotion. "You destroyed that yourself." And I realized he would not leave. He would stay, but he would turn my life into a mirror where I saw my guilt every single day. Part 4. The First Punishments. The punishment came unexpectedly. One evening, I noticed our family portrait was gone from the wall. When I asked, he said, "I don't want to look at lies." Then he started playing strange games. He cooked dinner, but placed an empty plate in front of me. "You don't deserve it." He stopped calling me by my name. In conversations with our son, he said, "Ask her, let her do it." I became her in my own home. These were not blows, not screams, but every gesture of his hit harder than a slap in the face. Part 5. The Cage. I began to notice that my every step was tracked. One day, leaving the house, I saw a new lock on the door, and he was the only one with a key. Another time, I noticed a strange app on my phone. Surveillance. I was no longer the master of my life. He allowed or forbade meetings with friends. If I was even 5 minutes late, at home I was met with his icy stare and silence that could last for hours. He didn't hit me. He didn't yell. But he stripped me of freedom. And that turned out to be far worse than any fight. I lived like a bird in a cage. Food, roof, family, near. But no wings anymore. Sometimes at night, I heard him whisper, "You chose this yourself." And I realized, yes, I had built this cage myself. Part 6. The Ruin. Our son was growing up and saw everything. His gaze on me had changed. If once he ran to hug me, now he often looked at me with cold confusion. I had lost not only my husband, but also my child. One day my son said, "Dad said you're a traitor. Is it true?" I couldn't answer. I just broke down in tears. That's when I understood my betrayal had become not just my sin, but my child's inheritance. My husband increasingly left me alone in the silent house. He lived his own life but stayed nearby like a shadow. I was punished every day, without warmth, without trust, without hope. And I realized sometimes the death of a relationship is worse than the death of a body. Epilogue. Years have passed. We still live together, but not together. He didn't leave, and I didn't either. We are like two strangers under the same roof. I lost everything. Love, respect, trust. I live in a cage I built myself and which he turned into a prison. Many would say it would have been better if he had left, but he did something worse. He stayed. He stayed so I would never forget what I had become.
Thanks for your viewing. The best gift from you will be a like and a subscription.